Good morning everyone, my name is Chuan. I'm the head of production and engineering at Dodai Manufacturing PLC. Today I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike like a professional. So over here we have our Flux model and our V3 model. At Dodai we have two models and this one is the newer one. So the main differences between the two models are of course the appearance, but this model over here goes faster to a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Whereas this model over here goes to a speed of 50 at the maximum. This also goes a bit longer at 120 kilometers for one charge, whereas this one, it goes to 110 kilometers per charge. So the other key differences are over here. You can see that this is a bit more well protected with a protection bar over here. Over here, a larger cargo rack at the rear that allows you to fit more cargo. So these are the key differences between the bikes. Before we ride our bike, there are some checks that we need to perform every time to ensure that we are safe when riding. Alright? So a couple of things over here. First thing, look at your tires. Make sure that the treads of the tires are deep and still not past the safety groove that you see. Also ensure that your tires are inflated and not flat, and there's no nails or obstacles that are blocking the rolling of the tires. Do this for both the front and the back tire. Alright? We go to the top of the bike. Please press your two brakes. Make sure that the brakes are working properly. The brake lever doesn't go in fully and you feel a resistance on the brakes. Right? Third thing, you can sit on the bike, switch on your bike, make sure that the controls are all showing normal, ensure that the lights are working, activate your signals, make sure that the signals are working. Also, get someone to help you. Aman, can you help me to see if the bike brake light is working? Yeah. Press your brake.
It's working.
It's working?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. So these are the very basic checks that you need to do for your bike. Now, you can sit on your bike, put on your helmet, make sure that your basic light is on, and go ahead. Yeah. Great, so now we are ready to roll. Before we begin our ride, let me tell you a few tips and procedures on how to get yourself ready before we start our ride for the day. Alright? First of all, our seating position. Make sure that we are not too far in front like this. Make sure that we are not too far behind like this. Make sure that we are seated at a comfortable position. Our elbows should be roughly 90 to 120 degrees. We should be able to look straight ahead, left and right without any obstacles in our way. Our feet should be on the footboard and we should be relaxed, nothing tense, ready to enjoy our ride. Now that we are ready to go, our bike is in a good condition and we feel relaxed. Now I'm going to tell you what to do to make your bike move. First of all, put your hands on both handlebars. Make sure that at least 2 fingers are on the brake. Make sure that your basic light is on, which is on now. Look far ahead. Don't focus on anything particular, but just keep a general lookout for the surroundings in general. When you are in this position, you are ready to turn your throttle, which is this hand, and go. Great, so now we are on our way. We are in the streets, traffic around us, people walking, vehicles around us, and we are riding. How do we ensure that we can get the 120 kilometers out from this bike? First of all, we ride at a speed not more than 45 kilometers per hour, as we can see here. Alright? Anything more than this speed will cause your range to fall, just like how you operate a vehicle. If you constantly press the pedal and the gas to its fullest extent, you will finish your gas quickly. So it's the same logic. Second tip, to ride for a long range, always operate your brakes gently and brake as little as possible. If you know you're going to stop right there, don't get to a high speed. Rather, get to a low speed and allow yourself to cruise to that area without braking too much. The less brake you have, the longer you go. The third thing you need to make sure is that your tires are always in a good condition, meaning you should always fill your tires to the recommended pressure set by Dodai, which is stated in your user guide, by the way. If you go and speed up to 60 kilometers or 70 kilometers per hour, if you brake suddenly, like this, And if you just go and then stop and then go and then stop all the time, what you get would be half of that range, maybe 60 to 80 kilometers. Great, so we are riding in a relaxed manner and efficiently along the road, thinking about our range and how to ride to the maximum 120 kilometers. But the most important thing actually is safety. So I'm going to give a few tips on how you should ride safely on the road. First of all, the braking is very important. Over here is your rear brake. Over here is your front brake. And you should always use both brakes together to achieve your maximum stopping power. However, the way you use your brakes is important. When there is traffic in front of you, always, first of all, keep a safe distance. If you are traveling at 40 kilometers per hour, give at least 40 meters of space in front of you to the next vehicle. The same applies for pedestrians. This is because you need time to react and time for the vehicle to stop. If suddenly a dog appears, a vehicle comes into your path. And when you brake, don't slam the brakes. Always brake gently. Do a slow movement and gradually increase your pressure on the brakes. And this applies to both your left side and your right side. This is a very important thing that will keep you from skidding and falling on the ground if you press your brakes too hard. The next thing you should do is never look in front like this when you're riding. Always look far ahead as you can see. This is especially important at night when visibility is very poor. If you're doing this all the time, you can see nothing but here. You cannot see people coming in front of you and your reaction will be slower. So always look ahead as far as possible. When riding in poor conditions, for example, at night or when there is heavy rain, make sure you travel at a slower speed. Let's say between 30 to 40 kilometers at the maximum. Also, your braking should be much gentler because you have to remember when you are riding at night or in raining conditions, your braking distance will be up to 20 to 30% more than if you are riding in a clear daytime condition. Please keep that in mind. One thing that you should also never forget, when you have someone riding behind you, you should make sure that you give more distance between you and the obstacle so that you have time to brake. So braking is something that requires a skill to predict how far you go and how far and how fast you will brake. So always play it safe. Give yourself plenty of distance, look ahead, know what's going on, know what's in your bike and behind you, and operate your brakes safely, both of the brakes together. When you're riding on the road, you're not riding alone. There are many people around you. They need to know what you're doing. So how do you do that? The road is noisy and you cannot shout, right? Your lights are your best friend over here. When we are riding on the road, the first thing we should always do is activate the basic light in the daytime. At night, your high beam should always be on to allow people to see you. It's not just for you to see other people. Also, when you're turning left or right, no matter what time of the day it is, you should always put on your left signal when you're turning left. And do this at least 50 meters before you actually make the turn to give people a good idea. Alright? The same thing for your right signal. Always do it ahead of time so that people know that you're going to turn. If your light is not working for any reason, use your hand. Do this to say that you're turning left, and then if you're turning right, you can either do this or you can do this. Follow the place where you're living. Make sure that the people understands the way that you signal. But generally, I would say this and this should be understandable for most people, right? Great. I think some of us are delivery riders and we want to load cargo or people onto our bike. So there is always a space on our bike as shown by the V3, the big rack on the V3, as well as the rack here on the Flux model. Alright. Now I'm going to give you a few pointers on how to load your cargo safely onto the bike. This over here is actually more than 10 kilograms. So, okay. When we have a heavy load, always try to put it on the back seat. Alright? By putting it on the back seat, you ensure that your bike is stable when you ride. For the rear cargo rack over here, we should not load more than 20 kilograms onto the rack so that it's easier to ride on the roads, especially when there's heavy traffic where you need to turn around. After you load your cargo onto the bike, make sure to secure it properly with straps. You can use any rope or any string, and you can tie or secure your rope onto the cargo rack over here. Or for the case of the V3 over there, let me just demonstrate it to you. You can also use the passenger foot rack. You can also use the protection guards over here to tie a rope to secure the straps. Alright? One very important point for everyone who is riding. The cargo rack here and here does not carry more than 20 kilograms of load. Please do not load more than 20 kilograms. This is an important point. So now we are going to talk about some of the more common issues that we face when we are riding on the roads. So, first of all, when we press the brakes, there should always be a lamp over here that shows that the brake is being depressed. This doesn't matter whether you're pressing the left side or the right side or both. Either way, this should appear. If it doesn't appear, please contact your nearest Dodai repair person to obtain a fix for that. Another thing you should always take note is when you're activating the left and right signals, the signal lamps over here should be on as well as the light. If the light is on but there is no signal, that indicates a problem. Again, please contact your nearest Dodai repair person. Same for the right side light. Alright? Light and signal should be together. You cannot have one or you cannot have none. Alright? Same thing for the lights. When the lights are on, there should always be a high beam when the lights are on. Alright? Great. Now we go back to the time when we are starting the bike. We always see these three signals over here when the bike is on. If at any point of time you see this one over here, it indicates that the motor has some issue. For this issue, please contact your nearest Dodai repair person. For this signal over here, if it lights up, it means that the throttle over here has some issue and your bike will not be able to move. If the ECU sign is switched on, this means that the controller or the brain of the bike might have something wrong with it. So in any case, please contact your nearest Dodai repairman. So sometimes when you're riding, you hear funny sounds coming from the bike. It might be a squeaky sound or it might be something more serious. So some basic maintenance that you should always do for your bike, maybe once every 3 months or so, is putting oil at these brake joints over here and also here, as well as the side stand, which is shown by this position over here. Yeah. Basically anything that's moving and operated by your hands and your feet, you can put oil to make sure that no weird sounds are coming from the bike. If you can reach the center stand over here, the joints here are also something that should be greased often, and if you can reach this area, please put some grease over here and on the same nut on the other side over here. Alright, simple as that. Dodai actually has bikes which are relatively maintenance free, and we hope you have a good time enjoying the bikes on our roads. Thank you.